Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Map 170 concept session. My name is Nick, and I work the ASU Tutoring Centers, and today we're going to be talking about law of sines. Now, the general, basically, what law of sines tells us is that on a triangle, and I'm just going to go ahead and write one out as an example over here. On a triangle, we have angles capital A, capital C, and capital B. And then we also have little sides directly opposite from these angles. So we have little a that's directly opposite from capital A. Capital B directly opposite is lowercase b. And then directly opposite from capital C is lowercase c. And basically what law of sines tells us is that the sine of A of capital A divided by little a equals the sine of capital B divided by little b equals the sine of capital C divided by little c. So that's essentially what law of sines tells us, okay? So what we can use, or what we can do, is use parts of these to solve for other angles and other sides. And that's essentially what basically law of sines is for, right? So first off, we'll just go ahead and find A. So what we'll do is we'll rewrite our sine of A over A here. So we have sine of A, because we don't know what our A is, divided by our little a, which is 15, equals, and then let's go ahead and take an angle that we already know, which is this 42 degrees here. So it'll be the sine of 42 divided by, and then the opposite, which is 27. And then from here, what we can do is solve for this sine of A. So what this will give us is sine of A equals 15 times the sine of 42 over 27. So essentially what we're doing is just multiplying this 15 to the other side. So we have the sine of 42 divided by 27. And then what we can do is after we solve this out, or actually what we can do is move this over to the other side as well, because what we can do is solve for A, right? That's what we're trying to do. So in order to solve for A and get A by itself, we're actually going to have to take the sine inverse of this whole thing. So we'll do inverse sine of 15 times the sine of 42 divided by 27. So it's kind of a lot. But once you plug all of this into your calculator and then find the inverse of it, you figure out that the angle of A is equal to 21.8229 degrees. Okay. Also, just as a side note, when you plug this into your calculator, I would definitely recommend breaking it up into chunks. So like what I would do first is just figure out what the sine of 42 is, and then divide by 27, then multiply by 15, and then take the sine inverse of that. It just makes it so it minimizes the probability of errors happening, right, in your calculator. Like we all make mistakes and press potentially different buttons on the calculator, things like that. I just recommend playing it safe just to make sure you get the right answer. But cool. So moving on, let's go ahead and find angle C. Now, since we know two of the angles right now, we can actually find just C by just knowing that all the angles in a triangle must add up to 180 degrees, right? And if we know two of the angles, we can figure out the last one. So what we'll do is just go ahead and add angle A, which is 21.8229, with this 42 degrees, and then take this and do 180 minus that. Now, when we add these together and then subtract it from 180, we get that the answer is 116.1771. So that's equal to capital C. Now what we need to do is find this lowercase c here. And in order to do that, we have to do law of signs again. So what we'll do is we'll take the sign of 42 divided by its opposite, which is 27. And then what we'll do is equal that to the sign of our c, right, which is 116.1771 divided by c. Okay, so then from there, what we can do is get c by itself by doing some algebra, and we'll find that c equals the sign of 116.1771 divided by this entire left-hand side here. So the sign of 42 divided by 27. And once we equal that out and plug it into a calculator, we figure out that it equals 36.2123. Now, again, this is probably going to be another one of those cases where you want to break this down. So you want to solve for like just this sign first, and then solve for the sign of 42, and then divide by 27, and then divide by both of the numbers. Again, like I said, just to minimize errors. But other than that, that's pretty much law of signs in a nutshell. If you have any other questions, go ahead and check out tutoring.asu.edu for more information on all the free resources at your disposal from being an ASU student. We have tutoring centers located on all 4 major campuses, as well as an online tutoring center, so definitely check us out. But if you also go ahead and go to that other link, if you enjoyed this concept session, that'll take you to a list of all the other concept sessions that you can access, not only just for this class, but also for other math classes and other popular courses at ASU. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and best of luck in your course.